All right, so let's start with some of the mistakes people make.
Okay, so on our SEP tool, page 1, which is income budget, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make, is we have 2 tabs, which is called our lifestyle income and our freedom income. And lifestyle income is obviously what you spend your money on every day, pertaining to your lifestyle.
To fund your lifestyle,
basically. To fund you yourself living for that month, okay? Freedom income is money that you have taken and invested into something. Maybe purchased another a home, or you even put it into a business that creates an income for you. But the mistake we make is that money that we are creating extra, we plow it back into our lifestyle. And that we shouldn't be doing. We should be taking that money and we should be putting it into another account, either a reserve account for a rainy day, a secure fund, an emergency fund, or if your emergency fund is at the level where it should be, that should be going into building a capital, which we say should then be put into another income generating asset. That we'll discuss on another day, the income generating asset part of it. But those 2 items, those 2 differences are extremely important to a person's future. Yeah. So a person will say, gee whiz, but I've got this extra house. It's creating so much more income for me on a monthly basis. But where's that money going? And the reason why it's not going anywhere is because you haven't taken control. The SEP tool, the tracking tool, will then explain to you exactly where that money is going and why it's not going to your to build your financial future.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you have to consciously define each income stream coming into your account, and you have to consciously say, is this lifestyle income or is this freedom income? And that's what people don't do. They just get everything into their account and then they just spend whatever they need to spend, and thinking that there will be money left at the end of the month. So you have to say lifestyle income goes into my account, it funds my lifestyle. Freedom income goes either reserve account, or we call it the free bucks account, to start working for me instead of me working for money. We've all heard that cliche. You have to have money work for you. You don't need to work for money. But nobody knows how to do it practically. And this is what we teach. How do you get to the point where your money starts working for you? But if you don't have that, if you don't consciously define it as freedom income, it's not going to start working for you. You're not going to build momentum. And that is a big mistake that people make. Money is called currency for a reason. It comes from the word current, which means it has to flow. The money has to flow to where it can optimally work for you. If you just stick it into your check account, remember it's a current account. What does current again mean? It has to flow. Your current account, your check account, is not a place to park your money. And that's a huge mistake. Is people think that I've got 50,000 Rand in my check account, that's security. That's not what the check account is about. We teach people at the end of the month, your current account, your check account, your lifestyle account is empty. There's no money sitting in that account. That's not the purpose of that money. Now, what Warren says here, he says, I remember when I first started with you guys, just implementing the SEP took me from 3,000 Rand deficit to a 2,000 Rand positive every month. That's a 15,000 Rand, a 5,000 Rand, yes. A 5,000 Rand turnaround in one sitting.
Yeah. Well, let me just add to the lifestyle freedom income. And maybe someone out there is listening and they might not have an extra house which creates an extra income. They might just be working overtime. And the biggest mistake that a person works when it comes to overtime is that money also goes into their lifestyle. If you are working extra and over above what your normally salary does, just to make it through a month, well, then you're going to be in trouble. So that extra income should be classified as freedom income. You shouldn't be living off that income, because the day that stops, you're in trouble. So take that extra income and put it into your reserve, or for that rainy day. It needs to be separate to your normal salary that you earn. And I guess that person, most probably whoever's listening now, is saying, oh, easier said than done. Yes, it is, but you're the one that created that. You're the one that put yourself into that position. So you need to make sure and separate your lifestyle income to your freedom income. If it's not part of your every month salary, if your salary gets deducted, or something happens that you don't have that overtime, then you're going to be in huge trouble.
Exactly. Now, and that's the thing is, what we teach people is that it has to move somewhere else very quickly. It can't sit in your account the whole time. Now, freedom income can be one of three things, just to put that in perspective. It's either income that you've released because you've taken better control of your expenses, you're getting extra money from work because of overtime, or you've paid off debt and that has created cash flow. That's all freedom income.
Yeah.
Secondly, it can be income from a business asset. Now, that's a complete different discussion, what constitutes a business asset, but income from doing something extra for an income. And then the third one is income from a fixed asset, something like a property or some other asset that is generating income because of the asset, not what you do in the asset. And that all gets defined as freedom income. So it shouldn't go into your check account, or if you don't have any other choice, like overtime gets paid with your salary, you have to move it out of your lifestyle account as quickly as possible to get it out.
But we say it's freedom income, but it's only freedom income if it doesn't go into your lifestyle.
Exactly.
That's the only time. You're doing all these extra things, but it can only be classified as freedom income if you don't use it on a monthly basis.
And that's why on the SEP we actually have it as two separate columns. You'll have a graph as well that shows you how far your freedom income is from your lifestyle income, because that is where freedom sits.
Yeah.
Once your freedom income is equal or more than your lifestyle income, you are free. You are financially retired. You don't have to go out and work for an income. You do it because you want to do it, not because you have to do it anymore. Okay, so you had what is the biggest turnaround you've had? I know you've had the client with this massive turnaround.
I think that was around about 12,000 rand, and that was in one sitting. And the only way we did that was it was a lady. I won't mention any names, but it was just where her money was going. And she just wasn't putting it in areas where her money could work for her.
Yes.
So in one sitting, she landed up going from I think it was a 6,000 or 7,000 rand deficit to round about a 6,000 or 7,000 rand positive, and then there was actually more to come 2 or 3 months down the line, because we took that positive cash flow, put it into her unsecured debt. We got rid of her unsecured debt within 3 months, and she was sitting with a huge positive cash flow. And from there on, it just started. It was just a positive change in her. I mean, she couldn't see the wood for the trees on day one. After month 2 and month 3, she was as happy as a canary. You know, she was. It was just unbelievable, just taking control and seeing exactly where your money's going.
Yes. Okay, what other mistake? Let's address another one and then we go for another music break.
Okay, another one would be on your expenses. I think a lot of people look at expenses and they don't understand what is really important compared to what is not until they put it down cent by cent. So normally on a budget perspective, without using the SEP, a person will just say, I think I'm paying about so much for this, I think I'm paying so much for that. But at the end of the day, when they put it down cent for cent and you see what the outcome is on your expense sheet when it comes to your fixed expenses compared to your variable expenses, that's when a shock is actually coming out.
Yes.
And they say, gee, am I really spending so much on this? Am I really? Why is my money going to this other part? Why am I spending so much on dinners, even on takeaways?
Yeah.
Sadly, there's quite a few smokers out there. Sorry to say this, you guys that smoke, but a person really gets a shock on how much money they spend on coffee and cigarettes. It's shocking. So that's something where they can say quite a bit.
Okay, what else is it that people have where they make mistakes, Warren?
Itemizing everything down. Draw that statement, and a lot of people also forget about bank costs. I mean, you don't realize how much bank costs come into play. When you start putting all this down, you can see, gee whiz, that takes off quite a bit of my income every single month. So maybe then start looking at what bank you're with. There's a lot of banks out there where their bank costs are a hell of a lot cheaper than what some are. So, just have a look. Open your eyes to even the tracker on your vehicle. I mean, sometimes that is a killer as well. A lot of people think that looking at something and you're only going to save maybe 50 or 60 rand now, or even up to 100 rand, and you think, well, it's only $100. But if there's 5 things that you can save 100 rand on, well, there's 500 rand. Right. And that 500 rand can go to getting rid of your unsecured debt. And that's the idea here, getting rid of your unsecured debt. Once that is done, then you're on the road to reaching your financial future or your financial freedom that much faster, because your unsecured debt, again, the interest rate on that is huge, much more than what your bank account's going to give you.
And that's exactly it. People, it goes 2 ways. When we accumulate these expenses, we go, this is only 69 Rand a month. It's not too bad. That one's only 120. That one's only 50. And before we know it, that snowball effect happens, and it's 2,000-3,000 Rand a month going to all these small things. The converse is also true, where you say, if I go do all the effort to cancel this, it's only $60. But again, $60 here, $100 there, $200 there. Before you know it, you've saved 500 to 1,000 to 2,000 Rand a month. And I did a SEP and a debt settlement strategy yesterday for one of our new students. And they've got, if they take their debt as it is now, it will take them 42 months to pay off all the debt at current rates. 500 Rand a month. Only 500 Rand a month with our debt settlement strategy takes them from 43 months to 20 months.
Jeez.
That's less than half the time. They're saving, with 500 Rand a month extra, they're saving almost 20,000 Rands worth of interest over the period of time. So never underestimate 500 Rand.
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference. Another thing you said, and I want to reiterate that, do not, when you plan, especially looking backwards, remember, budgeting looking forward, you have to make some assumptions. You have to say, well, I don't think I'm going to drive that much this month, so I'm going to allocate 3,000 Rand for my petrol. But looking backwards, you don't want to assume, you don't want to generalize or average it out. Looking backwards, you want to be as accurate as possible. Don't say groceries, 6,000 Rand. Coffee, probably 200 Rand. I promise you it is not that. So it's pointless trying to look back and doing a strategic expense planning if you don't look at the exact figures. Then you can just as well go on doing what you're doing at the moment. You have to go and embrace your true expenses. That's one of the things we teach at the forum as well. Embrace your true expenses. Because we're so scared of doing it that we keep bullshitting ourselves. It's not that bad. No, I'm not spending that much on coffee, or I'm not spending that much on cigarettes. And but because we don't want to really face the truth, because we're scared of facing the truth. And the analogy I explain to people is it's like a horror movie. If the monster in the horror movie is the scariest when you don't really see him, when he's in the darkness, in the shadows, going past the screen very quickly. That creates much more suspense and much more fear than when they actually do the reveal. Most often, when they actually reveal the monster, it's not that scary anymore. So, and that's the same with your money. Once you face your true expenses, you embrace and you say, this is it, warts and all, this is the situation, then you can start fixing the situation.
And I mean, we mentioned the coffee, and just I think I said this last time I was on, that one client of mine, he obviously had a lot of clients, and he'd obviously go out for coffees. But he worked a lot at home, so he could have, instead of order coffee in, he could have just made coffee at home. Yes. He was paying his domestic worker, I think it was 480 odd Rand or 500 odd Rand a month. She only came in once a week. But his coffee bill at the end of the month came to 750 Rand. And when I asked him, how much do you think you're spending on coffee? His coffee, what he estimated, he thought around about 250 Rand. 3 times the amount he was actually spending on coffee. So again, it is important to look back, but take the statement down. Take every single item down and have a look. But don't forget to put in those bank charges. That's also very important.
That's the thing is, awareness is 80% of the battle won. Every time, I'm sure you've experienced this as well. When you work with a student, this is one of the fears people have to get a coach and to start working with a coach. They think the coach is suddenly going to dictate to them what they can and cannot do, especially from the smoking perspective. Oh, I'm not going to, and all they're going to do is tell me I need to stop smoking. That's not what we do. We go and make you aware. We tell you, give you options. But we're not there to tell you what you should do with your money. And more often than not, what happens is once people become aware, they make the decisions themselves. They go, why the hell am I spending this much on coffee? I'm going to cut that down. I'm rather going to bring my coffee to work. I'll get myself a little coffee machine or a plunger or whatever, make my own. People then come with the solutions to you. You as the coach just guide them to those solutions. Okay, I think that is what we have time for today.
Yeah. Well, one more thing I want to bring up, and that's donations.
Yes, and lending money.
It's, okay, yes, you have those, the Arto and the guys that you really want to donate to. But there is so many other places out there that people are giving money to, and it's small amounts. We're talking about the 69, 99, 129, those are constantly, there's always the 9 at the end because it doesn't sound so bad. But I've already found that a person donates over 2,000 Rand, and they didn't realize it's all because of these small little things. Specifically parents with kids, when it comes to their schools, yes, they're donating this to this little school place and this other little thing and this charity. But come on, guys, you are the first charity you need to look after is you and your kids. Once all that is in place, then by all means, no one's going to stop you. Go out and donate to the people that you feel are really, really needing it. But take control of yourself first.
Yeah. So, and if you really feel strongly about it, I know we talk about pay it forward as well, but that's exactly what you said is so true. Charity begins at home. You first start with your family, and then you move outwards from there. But if you feel strongly about donating, give yourself a donation budget. Say, listen, I'm happy to donate 500 Rand a month. And if I want to add another charity onto that, then one of the other charities have to come off. That's just the reality. I have 500 Rand a month to donate, then great. But it's like you said, there's 100 Rand here, 50 Rand there, 80 Rand there, and before you know it, it's 2,000 Rand that you're giving out. So again, it's only a situation of being aware of what's happening and making decisions on that. I think there's still quite a lot we can talk about around budgeting, around cash flow management. Would you want to come back next week and let's talk again?
100%. I think it's a topic that those that are sitting and listening now can maybe even just send in some questions, and we can then tackle those questions next week, and then obviously expand more on what we do with our SEP tool.
Yes. Okay, so we'll have Warren back in studio. So if you have any questions, any comments or suggestions for listeners as well, we are happy to listen. Also, as usual, all these shows are recorded. They are put on our YouTube channel. So you can just go search on our YouTube channel for I Retire, Financially Raw, and you can see all of these shows live. Not live, but on video as well. You can see us in studio. So go and check us out. Also, again, Financial Freedom Forum, the 7th of May. It's a Saturday. Please be in contact with Frikkie to book your tickets. It's frikkie@rrh.life, or go to quicket.co.za and you can book tickets there.